This is your story. Can you see it?
It might not have the audience of football, baseball, or soccer, but to its proud fans, there's just something special about hockey. It's the cold air of the arena, the weight of the puck against your stick, and the feel as your skate glides across the surface of the ice. To their credit, the developers at EA Vancouver seem to get all of that, and it's led them to create an enjoyable NHL simulation that has earned a dedicated audience. That dedication, however, has been tested in recent years as the series has failed to move forward in any meaningful way. EA Sports NHL 26 continues this dynamic with a game that nails the elements that make hockey special, but it never feels like the kind of significant jump over what's come before that might make buying yet another version exciting rather than obligatory. If you've played a hockey game from EA over the last few years, you have a good idea of what to expect from NHL 26. The linchpin of the series is franchise mode, which allows you to take the team of your choosing on a season-long quest to hoist the Stanley Cup. It's basically the default mode, showcasing what the series is best known for, and it still does that all pretty well. Games are fast, the controls are intuitive, and EA Vancouver has spent years refining a formula that mostly works. Granted, there are very few other hockey games available right now, and those that do exist don't have the official NHL players or teams. That lack of competition might be the reason NHL plays things safe year to year. To be fair, it's hard to fault them too much for not fixing what isn't broken. This situation has created a trend for the series where each year's version feels like baby steps, and NHL 26 continues to focus more on smaller tweaks versus substantial changes. It's pretty easy to miss adjustments made beyond mirroring the big roster changes we've seen over the offseason, such as Mitch Marner being on the Golden Knights after leaving the Leafs, and Matt Dumba appearing on the Penguins following his Dallas departure. EA Vancouver seems to have done a pretty good job making sure everything is up to date, including representing the Utah Mammoth with their new name, uniforms, and arena after temporarily going by the Utah Hockey Club last season. Lastly, PWHL has been updated to add the Women's League's 2 new teams from the 2025-2026 season, though that mode feels completely unchanged beyond that. Though Franchise seems to be the most popular single-player mode in EA's yearly NHL games, the customization options and the general approach to the sport found in Be a Pro make for a unique and fun option. There's a narrowed approach in this mode that feels really authentic, since it focuses on controlling a single player. There's a greater need to consider line changes, playing in position, and setting up CPU-controlled characters. Some of the bigger changes this year can be found here, but they aren't all positive. Some of the biggest improvements come from cutting out what hasn't worked. NHL 26 has finally dropped the often mocked and frequently repeated pricey pond hockey opening scene that appeared across multiple games. You'll no longer see the same repeated cinematic sequence with an agent talking about how you're so passionate about hockey that you're playing pond pickup with a bunch of kids.
Look, you may not believe this, but the kids up here on Carter Lake playing pickup, with a bunch of other kids. It's a beautiful day.
Pricey pond hockey you got going there.
Instead, you're dropped right into the player maker. Thankfully, EA also has scaled back on the frequent coach meetings from past Be a Pro modes. While coach meetings don't happen as much this year, the catch is that the replacement might be even more monotonous: press conferences. The idea of taking part in press conferences is actually kind of neat, and the initial questions help to shape your on-ice personality. The hockey press will ask questions like your approach to free agency, and choosing one option will improve your likability with teammates, while the others help your brand. The execution gets dull fast once you've taken part in several in a row though. The questions are really groan-inducing sometimes too, with journalists asking questions that don't have any good responses. How do I feel about not winning the division? Not good. Thanks for asking. On top of that, the impact from press conference responses on player stats often feels unfair. At one press conference, there's a question about modeling your career around a specific NHL great with multiple options to choose from. If you pick the wrong one, it can immediately lead to a decrease in your stats. Even worse, NHL 26 doesn't always make it clear what answers will have a negative impact on your brand or the feelings of management, so a seemingly normal response can have an unforeseeable consequence. That's true to real life in a way, but those stats can mean the difference between staying in the NHL or being sent back to the minors. A smart change, though, has made NHL's most intimidating mode more approachable. Putting together a team built out of NHL greats in Hockey Ultimate Team takes a lot of time and effort. It can also take some real currency, though you are awarded with daily freebies that can help shape a decent team without paying extra. Sometimes, though, you don't necessarily want to take your team up against the passionate players who dominate online with a combination of skill and large wallets. So it's a welcome change that for NHL 26, EA has replaced last year's HUT squad battles with a new offline cup chase mode that offers a chance to build up a team and try them out in a full single-player campaign with multiple difficulty levels. It's great to have the chance to jump into games using a custom team without having to worry about getting schooled by people fiercely protecting their online rankings. And anybody who wants to do so can take that team online just as they normally would in HUT. Online or off, though, NHL is feeling increasingly behind the annual Sports Game Pack graphically. That's despite the fact that last year, NHL 25 marked the first game in the series to abandon PS4 and Xbox One and shift focus to current platforms. But NHL 26 still doesn't feel like it's really pushing PS5 and Xbox Series X and S to the fullest. The arenas are a highlight, and the ice itself pops on the screen nicely, and there are lots of impressive details, including wear to the surface as the game progresses, but just about everywhere else is a letdown. The character models are rough, with players, coaches, and fans often looking pretty ugly relative to what we've seen in other recent sports games. There are also some weird choices and oversights that are holdovers from past games, like team logos getting cut off on specific screens. Crowd reactions also feel stuck in the past, with awkward celebrations that would be right at home on PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii. Thankfully, the audio is much more enjoyable. The menus have some great new songs this year, including tracks from groups like Wet Leg and The Hives. In the games themselves, EA Vancouver continues to replicate the authentic sounds of each rink, with team-specific cheers and organ sounds. The commentary is also pretty faithful to the current NHL viewing experience. It feels like watching a nationally televised game, offering the same chatty play-by-play that you'd expect to hear on TNT. Thankfully, there's an option to toggle it off if it gets too repetitive. Possibly the worst audio in NHL 26 belongs to Macklin Celebrini, though. The San Jose Sharks forward can be heard offering career advice in Be a Pro mode, and it's clear that not all hockey players are cut out for acting. Just listen for yourself.
I heard you didn't make the main roster and you're getting sent down to the AHL. Just keep working hard and you'll get called up in no time.
NHL 26 is a competent entry in the series from EA Vancouver, even if it doesn't do enough to stand out either from past years or other sports games. It still plays well enough, and after all these years, there's still something exciting about banking a goal in or setting up the perfect pass. I rarely found myself unhappy with the actual gameplay, no matter how familiar it felt. On top of these things that worked well before, there are some small improvements that are welcome, like enjoying our collections of Ultimate Team players offline. At the same time, this series has stagnated visually, with relatively ugly players and crowds contrasted against beautiful hockey rinks. NHL 26 is like a 6-5 overtime win in April, when your team has already been eliminated from playoff contention. There's enjoyment to be had, but you can't help but hope that they get off to a better start next year. For more, check out our reviews of NBA 2K26 and Madden NFL 26. And for everything else, stick with IGN.